What's up with it? You watching the Bang Bomber TV? And yeah, we about to check out this video from the YouTube channel Rizzle. And the title is J Prince exposes 50 Cent snitching to feds in Houston takeover. Yeah, man, I don't know what's up with this situation. But yeah, man, I've been seeing a few titles with J Prince and 50 name in it. Is really something going on between them, man? I'm not sure. Yeah, man, if J Prince said 50 snitched to the feds, man, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, man, 50 years connected to that Tammy bra, so man, he kind of make me suspicious with that one. Maybe it's just business or something, but yeah, personally though, man, I couldn't even be connected to that lady, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I haven't checked out the video, don't completely know what they talking about, but let's check it out and see what they talking about.
Maybe we need to change the word for the youngsters. The checking in part, you know, is they seem to get hung up on that word checking in.
Yeah.
So if we could diversify that word and bring it up to a 2021 thing.
Right. What's the word, OG? What's the word?
Maybe we may want to tell them they need to get connected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the proper word, connected, properly connected, or whatnot.
Yeah, they getting tripped up on the semantics.
Yeah, they get stuck. I mean, right there.
I ain't gonna lie, instead of saying checking in, you can say tap in, you know what I'm saying? Tap in with your boys, you know what I'm saying? Ain't gonna lie, man, for super squares, I don't think they should be tapping in with nobody nowhere, man, for real, though. I think it's normal to tap in, though, if you got connections somewhere, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't got connections or nothing like that, I don't think you should be looking for people to tap in with, you know what I'm saying?
You stuck, so then you stuck on stupid, right?
Yeah.
You're stuck on stupid and you're not using your powers or access to powers that you have. You're looking at it as a negative versus a positive. You know, we all know if you can tap into good people wherever you go.
Wherever. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a blessing, Rip.
Real talk.
Real talk. Who want to have access to power and not use it?
You know what's to me? A who pick who he be fight with. Right. Like if you see it and you go, I'm not going because this fuck with him, but I fuck with this one. Yeah, I think I can take him. Right. You want to fight? You think you can beat?
What happens when one of hip-hop's biggest moguls gets accused of snitching by a man who runs the streets with an iron fist? You get a war of words so messy, even the biggest fans are torn. J Prince just called out 50 Cent for turning to the feds in Houston. And trust, the fallout's about to shake the city's power structure to its core. But 50, he didn't back down. He fired back with that 50 Cent energy. This is the drama you didn't know you needed. So, it all kicked off when J Prince, a man who spent decades cultivating his street credibility, went public with one of the most serious accusations you could throw at someone in this game: snitching. Now, we know J Prince doesn't speak unless he means it. So when he went on the offensive, it was more than just talk. He accused 50 Cent of running straight to the feds to handle his business in Houston, bypassing the local gatekeepers, the ones who keep the streets under control. And who are these gatekeepers? Well, that's where J Prince comes in. See, in Houston, checking in isn't just a courtesy. It's an unwritten rule. Artists who roll through the city are supposed to show respect to the men who control the streets. And J Prince has been the head honcho of that system for years.
Is there supposed to be a certain protocol for people to check in?
No, and I begin with me, and then he can speak for the other generation. But I'm a never, you know what I mean? We don't have time for no shit like that.
But 50 Cent, he didn't follow that script. Instead, 50 moved in and set up shop like he was a king making his claim, bringing his business, his crews, and his whole operation with him. It was like he was trying to rewrite the rules of the city. Houston wasn't just about rap music. It was also about power, loyalty, and who you knew.
I moved from New York now. I'm a Houston resident. I'm out here. I'm trying to, do some things for the community.
And 50 was now.
Oh, that's what's going on. So I didn't even know 50 had moved to Texas. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if you becoming a resident, it is kind of crazy to be tapping in with y'all. Like I'm gonna be dealing with y'all all the time. Like hell no, that's kind of different right there. Probably wouldn't tap in with y'all either. You know what I'm saying? For real though.
Publicly, shaking the foundations that had been built around this system. But Jay Prince didn't take too kindly to that. He saw 50's move as an insult. To him, it wasn't just a business venture. It was an attack on the way things had always been done. And when 50 didn't fall in line, that's when Jay Prince dropped a major bomb. He claimed that 50 was out here making moves with the feds. He even went ahead and fabricated documents to prove that indeed he was cooperating with the authorities. Crazy, right? Especially since 50 had been calling out Big Meech for supposedly being a snitch, and now it looks like he might have been doing the same thing. I mean, wow, that's when it got really ugly. You could almost hear the silence across the rap world. People knew what this meant. Nobody wants to be called a snitch, not in hip-hop, not in the streets, and definitely not when your whole persona is built on toughness, on being untouchable, on being someone who doesn't bow to the system. 50's reputation, already built on being the king of petty and master of drama, was now on the line in a way that could flip his whole narrative. But here's the thing, 50 Cent doesn't back down. Not from a challenge, not from a fight, not from anything. So what does he do? He gets to trolling. Big time. He jumped onto social media like it was his personal stage, firing off a series of posts that mocked Jay Prince with the kind of disrespect only 50 can muster, because his reputation was on the line here. Remember, he has been called a snitch before, but this time he had to defend himself. He called out Jay Prince for being old school, for trying to play the gatekeeper in a game that had passed him by. He threw shade, questioning Jay Prince's real power and implying that the whole system was nothing more than a hustle, a protection racket dressed up as street loyalty. And 50 wasn't just playing defense, nah, he was on the offensive, daring Jay Prince to come confront him directly. No fear, no hesitation. But Prince basically brushed the whole thing off, saying there's no real money in that kind of stuff anyway. Like he's got more than enough cash to blow, so why bother? To him, the whole check-in thing just doesn't make sense. Real ones aren't going for that anymore. But at the same time, he kind of hinted that rolling with him still has its perks. He wasn't out here trying to force anyone to be cool with him. But if he respects you and calls you a friend, then pulling up in his city as someone he rocks with is a whole different vibe.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Checking in and tapping in, man, that's two different things. Checking in, it seemed like you trying to connect with like the big dudes in the city or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Probably try to make you pay for a little protection. But tapping in, though, I see that as like knowing somebody from somewhere. But then when you touch down in their city or something like that, you hit them up. You know what I'm saying? Tap in with your peoples. But yeah, man, if you don't know nobody, I don't think you should be looking for people to check in with and stuff like that, man, for real.
It's not about fear, it's about mutual respect. And according to him, that's something everyone around there understands. After this, fans went wild. You already know what happens when these two start going at it in the public eye. Twitter erupted. They came in full support of 50 Cent because to them, he is the underdog, the businessman who was actually out here trying to change the narrative, trying to do something bigger than the usual street hustle. The battle lines were drawn, but it wasn't just about Houston anymore. This was about who could control the narrative, who had the power to shape the future of hip-hop in a city that was now ground zero for this war of words. And every little move they made, from social media posts to interviews to behind-the-scenes leaks, was dissected by fans and media alike. Everyone wanted to know who was telling the truth. But that's the thing with 50 Cent. He's always playing a long game. And just when you think you figured out where he stands, he throws in another curveball. That's what makes him dangerous in these situations. He's got the moves, he's got the strategy, and he knows how to play with people's emotions. At this point, it was no longer just about business. It was about pride, power, and who could stand tall when the dust settled. Let's talk about this whole checking in thing, because this is where stuff starts to get real layered. In hip-hop, especially in cities like LA and Houston, there's this street rule. When you pull up, you check in with the local power players. It's seen as a sign of respect, but not everyone sees it that way. Artists like 50 Cent think it's less about safety and more about control. Like, why should you have to pay homage just to move around? And in Houston, that conversation usually circles back to Jay Prince. He's long been viewed as the guy to check in with. His mob ties crew is basically legendary, and not doing the proper rounds when you're in his city, that's seen as a direct challenge. But when 50 landed in Houston, he made it crystal clear. He wasn't checking in with anybody, and it wasn't like he just came for a quick show and dipped. He moved in, set up shop, brought his whole brand. It made perfect business sense. Texas has no state income tax. a booming market for premium liquor like Branson Cognac, and a strong black entrepreneurial scene. But on the street side, it looked like 50 was moving differently, like he was saying, I don't need to go through y'all. And that rubbed J. Prince the wrong way. Instead of settling it quietly, Prince went public, and that's when he dropped the unbelievable bombshell, which in hip-hop can keep your rep for good. But here's the thing, it didn't land. 50 flipped the narrative. He laughed it off, mocked the whole checking in culture, and basically said, bosses don't check in, they build. And that's exactly what he did. Within months, 50 wasn't just throwing parties and selling liquor. He was doing serious stuff that made a real impact. He wasn't just moving through Houston, he was becoming part of its DNA. He rolled out Branson Cognac with style, celebrity events, tastings, pop-ups, but he didn't stop at hype. He started the Unity Business Lab with local schools, teaching kids how to build wealth through entrepreneurship. Not rap, not ball, business. Then came the charity work. Thanksgiving meal giveaways, Christmas toy drives, long lines, smiling families, and 50 right in the middle of it, shaking hands, taking pictures, talking to people like he belonged there. He even received a humanitarian award for all his efforts in Houston. He skipped the street middlemen and went straight to the top. And that shift shook everything.
I ain't gonna lie, man. That's the way you win the people over for sure, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Especially people that's in need, you know what I mean? So yeah, all that charity and stuff, I think 50 made a power move with that. Cause you know that'll play on people's hearts and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he doing stuff for the people and stuff like that. And if he doing more than J. Prince doing for the people probably gonna side with 50 with this situation. You know what I'm saying?
Because while J. Prince helped build Houston's street legacy, 50 was building something bigger: corporate clout, community ties, a public image that couldn't be touched by old school threats or accusations. By the time Houston officially gave 50 his own day, November 24th, it wasn't just an honor, it was a statement. 50 Cent had taken over the city on his own terms, and in doing that, he didn't just challenge the rules, he rewrote them.
He built the Unity Business Lab, teaching high school students how to build businesses from the ground up. Houston wasn't just his new home, it became his playground. Then came the deals. His liquor brand partnered with the Rockets, the Astros, and the Texans, 3 major sports franchises in one city. That's legacy work.
Houston wasn't just...
Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. 50 definitely made some power moves with this move. I ain't even know about this stuff. So, yeah, just listening to this, man, he been a power player out there for real.
Letting him in. They were claiming him. And this wasn't just good optics. This was 50 planting his flag in a city that already had its power players and shifting the gravity without asking for permission. That move alone would have been bold. But doing it in Prince's city, that was damn near a revolution. Because let's be real, before 50 pulled up, nobody was moving like that out there. Not without kissing rings first. But 50 did what 50 always does. He walked in like he belonged. And instead of getting resistance, he got applause. That's when people started whispering, maybe things are changing out here. Suddenly, it wasn't just fans talking. City officials, business owners, youth leaders, they were co-signing him. People started questioning why they hadn't seen this kind of community outreach from the local giants before. The ones who claimed to represent the city, but had never done a toy drive, never opened a school lab, never sat down with kids from 5th Ward and said, you can build something too. But while 50 Cent was planting roots and shifting the city's energy, the tension underneath was starting to bubble. The old way of doing things, checking in, kissing rings, playing politics, was fading. And J. Prince, he wasn't adjusting. He was doubling down, holding on to mob ties and his reputation like it was still the key to the city. To younger folks, that didn't intimidate, it irritated. They weren't interested in gatekeeping. They wanted motion. And 50 had it. Real motion. From clubs to council chambers, he was becoming the guy in Houston. That shift was threatening. Not just to Prince personally, but to the entire structure he'd spent decades building. Because when someone can move like that, without fear, without permission, without kissing the ring, it makes people question the whole system. That's when things stopped being about territory or pride. This was about identity, about who really spoke for Houston, and who was just holding it hostage. And while Prince had already taken his shot by labeling 50 a snitch, a heavy reputation-shaking move, it wasn't just the words that mattered. It was why he said them. That accusation wasn't just an attack, it was a defense, a last stand. Because if 50 could pull power, respect, and opportunity into the city without going through the so-called gatekeepers, then what were they guarding anymore? That's why the streets were buzzing. This wasn't just beef. It was a silent war between legacy and momentum, between street politics and public influence, between fear and freedom. And right now, freedom was winning. People started looking sideways, not just at 50, but at Houston itself. Was there some secret power struggle going on behind the scenes? And why now? Why call him out when 50 is already deep in the city, locked in with politicians, schools, and business leaders? Was Prince feeling pushed out of his own turf? It was more than just a personal feud. This felt like an old school versus new school power clash. The streets versus the suits. Respect versus reputation. And right at the center of it, two of the most stubborn, influential, and prideful men in the game. Every new twist in this saga feels like a tense chess match, making us wonder what's next for Houston's hip-hop scene and the big names who've shaped it. Is 50 Cent really going to take down the check-in culture that's been around for ages, especially now after being called a snitch? Or will Jay Prince strike back with more accusations to show he's still in control? Fans and industry folks are on edge, but one thing's clear: the story's far from over, and the next chapter is bound to bring even more jaw-dropping moments. What do you think will happen next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to stay up to date,
yeah, man, that's a fool with it, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. 50 just ain't into the streets no more. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see him tapping in through the streets. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, maybe Jay Prince tactics is getting a little played out and a little but yeah, man, it's the nicest stuff I seen 50 ever do. Like, for real though. He out there handing people turkeys personally. So yeah, man, that hit different, man. And then shit, we ain't see Jay Prince out there having no toy drives and stuff like that. So it seemed like 50 more for the city than him, damn near. Yeah, man, I ain't even know this was going on. And I was wondering why 50 and Jay Prince's name was like on a lot of videos. I'm like, what's going on with these dudes? I thought it was like some little BS, but yeah, since 50 moved in on him in Texas, man, I could kind of see it being little issues there possibly, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, him calling 50 a snitch, a fool with it though, man. Y'all think 50 done told or something, or he riding around with the feds or something, man? I don't know, man. But one thing I do know though, man, 50 security team is a fool with it. So yeah, man, he probably don't even care about fake threats, man. He probably riding around there bulletproof with some legal shooters in the car, like for real though, man. You know what I mean? Crazy situation, man. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. You watching a Babe Bomber TV. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Until next time, all right.